Hey, what's up? It's Adam Dunbar. It's 7:14 a.m. I'm trying to get this whole thing into 10 minutes. Um, Anyways, I said I'd do a later piece, and this is it. It's a piece about music, and I guess I could say that music started for me in a big way in the summer of grade 6. It was music that brought me my best friend, and some of my best times, and some of my greatest memories. It was 1985. Jesus. I remember the last day of school and being invited to Mike McCrady's house. Mike was a school tough guy, and everyone was scared shitless of him because we were all solidly middle class, and Mike was considered to be poor white trash. Mike always wore army fatigues, rode a constantly changing group of BMX bikes, and lived off the beaten path in this tiny house of his mom, younger brother, and Stan. Now Stan was this huge biker with a fondness for drink, of an enormous beard. He was into casual farming, roofing, and always had an indeterminate means of income. I don't know anyone back then who had just one parent and struggled in poverty, so Mike's life was exotic in a dark, mysterious kind of way. I used to never drink Kool-Aid with dinner, and that's all they ever seemed to do. Mike's family had this tiny house, this huge stereo, an old truck, a number of dogs, and a lot of property where Stan kept animals like pigs and cows. That world was anathema to my own, which is having a big house, one dog, solid family, pool, barbecue pit, basketball hoop, and friends who had a lot of the same things. But Mike was different. Mike had nothing except a reputation. And when he invited me over to play guns in the forest at the back of his property, man, I thought I was going to my doom. It was like the Bataan Death March, because I had heard stories about guns in McCrady's. I had heard tales of people being hanged upside down in trees and stripped naked and left for days. And I had heard that even some of the kids who went to play guns there were never heard from again. I look back on it now, years later, man, and I can't help thinking that some of those stories may have been exaggerated. Look, I was bullied all through elementary school. I was short, I was weird, I was different. I liked Chuck Berry, Stan Rogers, and the Nylons. I liked classical music, and I had unmanageable hair. I wore weird clothes and had an unfortunate tendency to speak my mind on all subjects, and damn the consequences. It was miserable, a horrible, a painful, a lonely way to spend a childhood. But it changed on the day Mike invited me to play guns. I'll never forget it. We seemed to be from two different worlds, but now, years later, I can see our friendship for what it was. We were just two lonely kids on the fringes of the norm, and Mike, thank God, saw something in me that I didn't. I'll never be able to repay that moment, or that inexplicable kindness to him, so thank you, Mike. But that moment was kismet, and after an afternoon of killing and being killed and getting muddy and being careful not to get too close to Stan's cash crop hidden on the very back of the property, we went to a camper at the back of the house and lay in some hammocks strung up between these huge maple trees. And Mike said, "Do you want to hear some music?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, okay, Mike, whatever you say." It was that second that changed everything in my musical universe. It was that second that started a journey, like so many other kids before me, with me, and after me. Mike pulled out the ghetto from the camper and plugged in a cassette tape, and I was killed. I was murdered and forever changed by do 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 do, the Trooper from Iron Maiden. God damn, could Steve Harris ever play the fucking bass? Jesus, those were great times. Metal to me will always mean summer night fires and beer stolen from my dad's shed. That music will always mean rocker chicks in tight jeans with pinstripes and Kiss shirts, big hair and tons of makeup, white leather boots with tassels on them, and fringed jean jackets with rat out of the cellar back patches and tons of buttons on the front. AC/DC, Aldo Nova, Judas Priest, Queensryche, Van Halen, Wasp, Poison, Bon Jovi, the Scorpions, Cinderella, Motley Crue, and a whole pantheon of metal gods. That music will always remind me of rocker guys in Levi's Storm Rider jackets, the same patches and buttons, but with the ball-crushing black jeans and black Daytons. That black fedora type hat, that was optional. The first time I ever saw thongs on a rocker chick, wearing this tight white skirt. Now, this was not in grade 6. No matter what Jason Walters tells you, fuck, it was in grade 7, Jason. It was the summer of grade 7. Their names were Barb and Teresa, and their kisses always tasted like beer and bubblegum. Mike wound up sleeping with Teresa. I should have done the sleeping, but I got nervous and wound up drinking too much and throwing up on Mike's mom's Sheltie named Paisano. I never understood that. They weren't Italian. The backdrop to all that, though, was music. All those nights saturated with beer, vodka, Rockaberry Cooler, oy vey, Bacardi rum and lemon gin, sometimes all mixed together in a 2-liter plastic bottle hidden in the old broken weed-covered Volvo in Mike's backyard. All of this madness was always accompanied by an unending soundtrack. Def Leppard, Dokken, Kick-Axe, Tesla, Helix, Quiet Riot, and Alice Cooper, who had just released Constrictor, which is a hell of a good album, even with that muscle-bound orangutan Kane Roberts playing guitar. The music was our life, the songs were our anthems, and we all dreamed of going to LA and making it. But back then, those summers, if it wasn't metal, it wasn't shit, and we were willing to fight, and frequently did fight, with those chino-clad losers who like Duran Duran, Cyndi Lauper, Boy George, Platinum Blonde, Glass Tiger, and the whole pantheon of new wave antichrists. We fought the punks too, but not as often, because we could all agree on a few things. Motorhead, fucking awesome. Metallica, fucking awesome. Suicidal Tendencies, fucking awesome. Black Flag, DOA, fucking awesome. I have no idea how I managed to miss the Ramones, Richard Hell, Stiv Bators, The Clash, The Pistols, the MC5, and that whole New York punk scene. I guess I was busy in LA with the LA Guns and Faster Pussycat, Motley Crue, and Vixen. Those chicks in Vixen were hot, but we all wanted to fuck the drummer. You might consider this a mea culpa. I don't. I'm not embarrassed about loving that music. I'm not ashamed about throwing my money into the maw of corporate music. Anyone who's a metalhead cannot be ashamed, because that music defined our moment, our time, and our scene. That music was our life, and we made no bones about it. Yeah, it was huge and corporate and had no real depth, but it kept us together. It gave me my best friend, and my summers spent in an absolute orgy of fun. It couldn't have been better, and I don't care if you say the music meant nothing, because it meant everything to me. And it started me on a path backwards when I was finally ready to look for something to fill the void that metal left. I was never satisfied with the surface. I was never content to let things lie, and I needed to find music that scratched that itch in the deeper places of my mind and soul. Metal was a springboard back. LA metal led to Sabbath, Deep Purple, and Led Zeppelin, The Doors, which led to Robert Johnson, Lead Belly, Howlin' Wolf, John Lee Hooker, Chess Records, and the Delta Blues. Metallica and the Suicidal Tendencies led to DRI, the Dead Kennedys, the Dead Milkmen, the Subhumans, DOA, the whole 80s skate punk scene, which inevitably led to the Ramones, the Voidoids, the Dead Boys, CBGBs, and New York punk, which led to Detroit, and Iggy and the Stooges. I can't even begin to describe Iggy and the Stooges. The MC5 from Detroit, awesome. The MC5 led me to Chuck Berry, Buddy Holly, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Sun Records. And anyone who knows Sun Records knows that it will lead you to some truly weird places, because Sam Phillips is not your normal guy. So Sun Records led me to country. Hank Williams Sr., Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, Chris Christopherson, George Jones, Merle, and Johnny Cash. God damn it. Sun also led to Al Green, Teddy Pendergrass, Lenny Williams, The Temptations, The Supremes, Marvin Gaye, Solomon Burke, and Motown. Motown led to Sidney Bechet, Louis Armstrong, Bix Beiderbecke, Cab Calloway, Duke Ellington, King Oliver, New Orleans, Chicago, and New York jazz. It's incredible when you find what you find when you start looking back. The path I've listed isn't comprehensive by any means. I left out artists I love, like Nick Cave, Tom Waits, Joy Division, Elvis Costello, and way too many others to mention here. Ray Charles. I do know one thing. I know I judge a band or a musician by who influenced him or her. And I also know that there's no need to despair of the current state of music. That kid with the Sum 41 album, one day you'll pick up a Ramones album and you'll be changed forever, and you'll start his journey back just like I did. So we don't need to worry about it. Music is inevitable. Music is indelible. Music is eternal. And we never have to worry about losing what's really good or great about it.